was it in that negotiating process where they said, we want you to make this politically incorrect or political ad?
Yeah.
And it was when the negotiating phase, or was it, hey, we already have these 20 videos outlined, we'll pay you X and you make them?
Basically, they were on the aggressive hunt for someone to edit footage they already shot.
Okay.
So we were just editing. That's all we were doing. We were just editing. And it was crazy that even though we were just editing, the pay for it was nuts. I haven't, it was just 1 week of work and it was ridiculous. But that's all we were doing was editing. So what we were told was it was just a bunch of people talking about the products, and the products are things that are incidentals, tens.
Yeah.
Razors. And that, it's well, how can you, my thought was, I don't think we're going to be running into any problems editing videos of pens and razors. And I was wrong. It was just basically all of these different people who use the products talking about the product. And one of them was very clearly trans. And I knew there was a possibility that we were going to encounter something like that, and I'd come to the conclusion that I would be okay with this. My conscience would be okay with this if you tell by looking at them, they're trans, but they're not talking about their identity. They're not advertising any elements of their ideology. They're just, talking about the product. I come to the conclusion I could do that. That's not what this was. This was a trans person talking about how they use the genderless version of their razor because it makes them feel sexier. And nope. I can't do that.
Graeme Wilson, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So, I obviously want to get into the Gothix documentary and everything you're doing there. And then with your whole business, and then I learned last Wednesday that you have a band also. So kind of wearing a lot of hats.
Yes.
But we do a lot of narrative stories here on the podcast because we believe those are the things that last the longest and have the biggest impact.
Yeah.
So why don't we start off with your story, and you can go as long as you want to. Doesn't really matter for me.
My story.
But so where were you born? Where'd you grow up? And kind of what was your childhood like?
So I was born here in Moscow, Idaho, where we're filming this right now. I was born at Gritman Hospital here in town, and I'm 36 now, and I still live here. I've always been open to going somewhere other than here, but something has always kept me here. There was a few times where I almost moved to a bigger city or for an opportunity to somewhere completely different. And some kind of opportunity, some kind of career thing usually kept me here. So I'm still in Moscow, Idaho, and happy to be here. I don't want to move if I don't have to, though I'm ready to if I need to. So you're reminding me of a question. It was, so where was I born? I got that far.
So what was your childhood like? Because you've also got the aspects of the town as you were a child, but then you're still here, and so you've seen the town change through those many years. So what was it like during your childhood?
Well, it was standard and unusual in one big regard, which was my parents, they own and operate a Christian boarding house called The Big House, which is where we're filming this right now. And that's where I grew up. It is a 1911 4-story mansion, 8,000 square feet, huge thing. And the only way that my parents were able to have this place was by having people live with them. And that was my upbringing, was they would rent out rooms to Christian college students. And that's what I grew up around my entire life. So from the time that I was born to the time that I moved out, there was always this rotating sort of door of Christian college students coming into the house and heading back out. And by the time I had graduated, it was, when I just graduated, but moved out of the big house, maybe a couple hundred people that I'd lived with in this house alone, because there would be anywhere between like either 5 people renting rooms or like 12 people renting rooms. And it was myself, my 3 siblings, my parents. So in this house at one time, we had up to 18 people living in this house.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up with that, I'm watching these college-aged kids come through. And when you're little, a college-aged kid is, well, that's an adult. There's a really big adult. And then as you get older, you know, these college-age kids, they start becoming closer and closer to your age, and they start becoming your friends. And then you move out, and suddenly they're children, which is where I'm at now. But that was a unique experience growing up around a constant cycle of college-aged kids that were having philosophical debates with my dad most nights, and I just got to sit around and witness that and, you know, chime in every once in a while, unsuccessfully. But aside from that, that's sort of the unusual part of my upbringing, is that living circumstance. Everything else is, I don't know, feels pretty normal. I was into maybe I should take that back. I was a rollerblader. I don't think that's very normal. But I did like stunt rollerblading for about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I went the sponsorship route and did that whole thing. And yeah, it did not turn into a long-term career or anything like that. But I joined the Army National Guard in 2006. I did that for 12 years. And yeah, there's all sorts of things. I know I'm glossing over stuff, but
so I guess what were maybe some of the pros and cons of you're living in this house, and like it's your family and you're growing up and your parents are teaching you and everything, and you're growing up, but then you're also surrounded by a bunch of people that live with you that aren't in your family. So what were maybe some of the pros and cons there?
I think there would have been a lot more cons if my parents had a rocky marriage or weren't really about being Christ-like. For all of the potential issues that could have come up with living with a bunch of college-age kids that are not your family, my parents handled it incredibly well, with tons of grace. And that's really what I just got to witness, was just, my parents handle that stuff incredibly well. Any kind of, and they're, at the end of the day too, like they were praying a lot about who they would rent to, and any potential issues that came up, they were giving it to the Lord, and that resolved a lot of potential problems that could have been much bigger than they ever became. That ended up being my experience. Was I don't know, it was incredibly positive. I feel like I'm being really ambiguous. I don't know how. Every once in a while you'll have, you know, a true crazy person, you know, start renting, and just there's nothing you can do about crazy if they have no desire to follow the Lord, though they said they were when they moved in. But I think the Lord was also very, like, spared us from much worse situations than it could have been.
So you mentioned you joined the National Guard. Around your high school years and high school age, you know, at some point, every kid has the idea of, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Whether that's pressure from the parents saying, go to college, get a degree, or I'd love to go out and do this. And maybe those two things do align in some households. But around high school age, kind of what were you thinking about career-wise?
Around high school age, I mean, in high school, I was thinking about the Army.
Mm.
I was incredibly ill-informed about what anything was. If I had known better, I wouldn't have joined the National Guard. I would have gone active duty. And I was just, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just asking people, like, hey, what should I do? And for most people, if they think about enlisting, they're thinking about the sort of financial benefits, the education benefits. And so those are the ones that they are aware of. It's, well, if you join, you should do ROTC. You should become an officer because they get paid more. And that's good. More money, more good.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, cool. That sounds great. I'll go to college. I'll get that paid for, and I'll become an officer and make more money. And it wasn't until after I joined and I was doing the ROTC thing for the first year that I learned what an officer's role is in the Army. And it's, we need them, but an officer is the one who's sitting behind the desk making the plans and disseminating those plans to the soldiers. And I wanted to be in the dirt. I wanted to be in the mud. I wanted to be turning wrenches. I wanted to be jumping off of things. I wanted to be shooting guns. I wanted to be doing all of those things. And so when I was a year into ROTC, I decided to drop out and become a sergeant instead. It took a few more years after that to reach sergeant, but that is a non-commissioned officer role, and generally non-commissioned officers are able to still sort of stay doing stuff in the dirt and stay with the guys. They're still leaders, but they're not necessarily making the plan. They're just executing the plan.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, that's what in my high school years what I wanted to do. Was I wanted to be in the Army. I wanted to get deployed. I wanted to go, do all of that stuff. And film was fun. Doing video stuff was fun. I was making skate videos with friends. I was making stupid short skits and things like that. But the thought of doing film as a career was not in the slightest on my radar as an option. It was just, I just do this for fun.
And you mentioned that you wanted to join the Army, and then you said, oh, if I had to do it again, I would have joined active service instead of the National Guard.
Yeah.
So what drew you to the National Guard then? Was it just the option there, or was there something specific that made you say, oh, I want to join the National Guard?
It was advice from other people that with the National Guard, you can stay in your hometown. And it's like, well, that's sweet. Yeah. Stay in your hometown, become an officer, make more money, only drill 1 week in a month. And I was really dumb. I didn't ask enough questions. Like, I should have asked way more questions than I did. I just was anticipating that, oh, that's cool, but then you'll get deployed, right? And then you'll go and, see the world and, do all that stuff and earn your stripes, basically. And that never happened. And it does happen with a lot of National Guard units. They do get deployed. That does happen. But the one that I was a part of, it never happened.
Yeah.
So to answer the question about parents, though, my parents are so unbelievably chill about futures, careers. My dad especially, just incredibly understanding. He trusts the Lord in things. And so this idea of, oh, I couldn't pursue film because, well, that wouldn't be wise, did not come from my parents. It came from me sort of seeing the way the world saw film.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of risk to it. Like, it's a hard thing to pursue. A lot of risk. But it wasn't because of my parents. My parents were like, if I wanted to go do that, they would have been like, great, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll support you if we can.
Do
But
do you think that helped you in a way? Because I mean, you hear the different stories of the parents who are super chill, and then it's like, oh, that's great.
mm,
Or man, I wish my parents warned me about that. But then you also hear the other stories on the flip side of the parents were too harsh, maybe, and saying, yeah, no, don't do this. It has all of these
mhm,
negative things that can happen, and it's too much of a risk, and you need to have more of a grounded thing that you'll be successful in
mhm.
in a way.
Yeah, that there's always a ditch on either side of the road, and if you raise your kids in a way where uh, you're being realistic about the world,
Mm.
like, yeah, this is doing film, doing the arts for a career. It's high risk.
Mhm.
Like, it's not easy to make money doing this, and that, yeah, but there is not anything inherently wrong, like immoral, about that kind of risk. Which I think is the danger of, it's the ditch on the other side of the road of, with legalism, just this is, yeah, deeply unwise, because how are you securing any kind of future for yourself or your future family? And I understand it. I do, because yeah, it is a big risk. But the ditch, yeah, that particular ditch is a lack of trust in the Lord.
Mhm.
You shouldn't be doing it because you trust in yourself. That's the ditch on the other side on this side of the road, is the belief in self. I am not doing this because I'm a dreamer. I do have dreams, but uh, dreams can be really dumb, can be really stupid, and not thought through, and full of folly, and not meant for you to pursue them. Um, just because you have them doesn't mean that you're supposed to pursue them. Uh, yeah, that's the ditch on this side of the road. But God has still made individuals with eyes that see creatively, ears that hear creatively, minds that want to, create in that way. And um, you can do it while submitting to Him, trusting in the risks that you take, that so long as you're not running away from what you see God as having you do, um, like, I don't know how someone would know this, but let's say someone has a feeling that God wants them to become an accountant. And I think He wants me to become an accountant. I should pray about it. And, they pray about it, and it's like, it's coming up accountant. Isn't that terrifying? And there's nothing pegging the other side of, oh, you should go, be creative. But they do it anyway. They go their creative route, though every single thing was pointing towards, become an accountant. There's something wrong with the heart of that individual, that they're going to God and they're asking for some direction, and, they're getting the direction and then going the opposite way that they were given. And that is not the kind of life that you want to be living. It's not pleasing to the Lord. I couldn't tell you specifically, what kind of signs this person might be seeing to tell them that it's, that God's telling them to be an accountant. But if we're actually consulting God, our conscience is convicting us, the Spirit is convicting us. And what you want to get to is that you are content with whatever it is that you have to do. That Ecclesiastes says, there's nothing better for a man than to eat, drink, and find enjoyment in his toils. And that is written at a time when people didn't really have a choice about what their toils were. That everyone is just doing whatever the king told them they needed to do. Everyone is doing whatever it is their father did. They really didn't have a choice about what their toils were. So that verse isn't saying, Um, nothing better for a man than to eat, drink, and find enjoyment in his toils. Well, I don't enjoy my toils, so I better go find different toils.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's saying whatever your toils are, find enjoyment in them. There's nothing better for you than to do that. So, even though you have interests and desires, don't believe the lies that the world is telling you that you can do whatever you want. Like you can just, whatever it is that you could possibly dream, you can do it. It's a lie. That's not true.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it isn't, God says that you shouldn't do anything that you want to do, and you should just completely be crushed by that. There is this balance of there is somewhere that you need to be today, and where you need to be today might not be where you need to be tomorrow, but where you need to be today is doing this kind of work, and you need to be finding it is good for you to be finding enjoyment in it. Before I came to film, that was the way I was beginning to look at all kinds of work, that I was focusing on that particular verse in Ecclesiastes. And it was, if I'm a stockroom guy for a big box store, I need to find enjoyment in that. If I'm a salesman, I need to find enjoyment in that. If I'm a house painter, I need to find enjoyment in that. And because there's nothing better for me than to do that. And it wasn't until after all of those things didn't work out that I was left with this, well, I guess I could try this. I could try video. I could try film.
Yeah.
And because I have some skills in it, because I did it for fun. Let's see if it works. I had zero expectation of it working out, and it ended up working out. And there's so many different factors that led up to that. And one of the things was parents that gave that freedom to, pursue what you wanted to pursue. Just, do it under the Lord. That made that kind of thing easier. But the other thing that made it easier was knowing that I wasn't doing it because, well, I have to do it. And I'm terrified of the idea that God is going to tell me that I can't.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a long ramble, but
that's fine with me. So you leave the National Guard. Why exactly did you leave the National Guard? Was it just like you realized you didn't want to do this anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Was your time up? And then where did you go from there? Because now you're into film and everything.
Yeah.
But you eventually have to start somewhere.
Yeah. I left the Guard. My first 6 years, I was a single man.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Guard, you enlist for 6-year contracts. And my first 6-year contract, I was unmarried, and wanting to get deployed. I was looking for ways to get deployed. I volunteered for deployment in 2010. I tried to switch over to active duty in 2012 when my first 6-year contract was done. Found out that I couldn't. And so I just re-enlisted for another 6 years in the Guard, hoping that it could turn into, getting deployed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a week and a half after I had re-enlisted for my second 6-year contract that I met my now wife. And as soon as I got married, the last thing I wanted to do was get deployed.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I wanted to do was be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I finished up that 6-year contract sort of just praying that I wouldn't get deployed. So my first 6 years, I just wanted deployment. Second 6 years, I didn't want anything to do with it. And I never got deployed. But I got out in 2018 because it was just, 12 years, that's enough. I don't want to get deployed. I want to be here with my family. And I had started doing film in 2017. So my last year in the Guard was when I just started doing video marketing and working my way towards doing more film stuff.
Mm-hmm. So did you, when you started the video marketing, was it like you by yourself looking for clients, or did you maybe partner with a company as you're trying to get yourself up on the ground and getting yourself a name so that other people will go out and be like, I need a video done, I'm going to go hire him?
Yeah. So I um when I decided I was gonna do this, we had some money set aside. I asked my wife, like, what do you think? Would you support this? And she was supportive. And um so we used that money to purchase a camera, computer, um, just equipment for it. And my thought was that I would just start the way that I saw it in my head at the time was it was a marketing firm. That's I didn't really have my definition straight. Um, but I was like, I'll start a marketing firm. And uh, yeah, I'll start from there and see what it becomes. I couldn't come up with a name that wasn't already taken or sounded like it fit the size of what it was. You know, um, the name, like there were a bunch of names that weren't taken that we came up with. My dad and I had come up with, that I really liked, but it sounds like a much bigger company than just some, guy in Idaho, one man team. So I was stuck on that. And I had come over here to dinner and was talking about this difficulty. And then my dad had said, have you thought about asking Thomas Berry? This is my cousin-in-law. He said, have you thought about asking Thomas Berry if you could join his creative agency? Because he has a creative agency with his brother, Dan and Thomas Berry. And have you thought about asking them if you could join theirs, which the name of that company is Small Media Large. And that's like one of the sickest names ever.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a great idea. I called Thomas the next day and, within seconds of me suggesting this idea, hey, what would you think of me joining Small Media Large? He was just, yes. Yeah, he's very excited about that. So I joined SML, and that was November of 2017. And I've been with SML since then. I became an owner in 2020.
Awesome. Yeah. So do you mainly do marketing through that, or has some of your other film, more narrative documentary style, been part of that?
Yeah, the marketing side of things, I've learned more that marketing marketing firms will contract creative agencies to do the creative, create the video, create the ad. And then the marketing firm itself is basically, they're coming up with the strategy. Do we need to wrap up? Got 5 minutes? Okay. They're coming up with a strategy of how that creative piece of video is going to be implemented, like how it's going to be distributed. Maybe they're coming up with a concept, but marketing firms are a little bit more broad than just like, we're making a commercial. And when I started, I didn't really know that. So I was calling myself a marketer and was really doing a lot of that, like helping companies. We'd make the ad and then we'd help them target the ad. We would, run ads on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and things like that. So we were kind of the one-stop shop in that sense. And the more that I was doing that, the more that I was realizing that there is so much to learn about how to distribute things and how to target and how search engine optimization. And there's so many creative ways to get a commercial, to get an ad out there. And marketing firms, that's generally their position in the economic ecosystem. And I was realizing that what my skill set is making the ad, making the commercial. That's been my focus. As time has gone on, my focus has been in just like getting very good with the camera, getting good with how to light things, how to tell stories, whether it's a commercial, a music video, a documentary, a short film, or just like broad, business to business marketing materials. But yeah, I went from being a, one-stop shop marketer, filmmaker, guy to I'm a filmmaker. Contract me to make you a film thing. Contract me to make a commercial. So
you're doing this marketing. Um, but eventually you made the Gothix documentary,
Mm-hmm.
which, unless I'm mistaken, you're very well known for.
Yeah, I mean, you are Brazilian.
Well, when I think of you, I think of the Gothix
Yeah.
documentary, and not Small, Media, and Large.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so when did you realize, hey, I want to go out and make a documentary that's not marketing, but it's completely story driven?
Mm-hmm.
And then multiple questions in one. So when did you realize that?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you want to make that documentary?
Mm-hmm.
And why Gothix?
Yeah. So, uh, to the first thing you had said, Gothix is definitely the thing I'm the most known for. If someone knows me, odds are it's because of the Gothix documentary. Now, not a lot of people know me because not a lot of people have seen the Gothix documentary, but enough that yeah, it's expanded. The bubble has expanded a little bit. I was doing in 2020. I did a bunch of music videos. It's one of my favorite things to do. So it's not marketing. It's creative. It's filmmaking. It's for the visual, basically, just purely for the visual. And I was doing them. I was doing them all for free, and I was doing them for free because I wanted to do them for artists that I actually liked the music of. You can be a little bit pickier about the kind of music videos you're doing if you offer them for free.
Mm-hmm.
There's a challenge in that. But I was doing some client work. I was doing these music videos, and I did like 2 short films in 2020. So just 2020 was the year that I was ramping that up quite a bit, just the creative side, not the business side. And that tailed into 2021 when we had gotten our biggest corporate client we'd ever had. And it was going to be a sweet payday. And then that blew up because of some political stuff that they wanted us to like edit. And it was unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But it was only one video out of like 20 that they wanted us to do. And I told them, like, I can do the 19 other videos. I can't do this one. Can you find someone else to do this one?
But they wouldn't let you.
No.
You have to make all 20.
Yes. Yeah. So
how did that come about? Because I mean, from what I've seen, is the client and then the business negotiate different things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, was it in that negotiating process where they said, we want you to make this politically incorrect or political ad?
Yeah.
And it was when the negotiating phase, or was it, hey, we already have these 20 videos outlined, we'll pay you X and you make them?
Basically, they were on the aggressive like hunt for someone to edit footage they already shot.
Okay.
So we were just editing. That's all we were doing. We were just editing. And it was crazy that even though we were just editing, the pay for it was nuts. Like I haven't, it was just 1 week of work and it was ridiculous. But that's all we were doing was editing. So what we were told was it was just a bunch of people like talking about the products, and the products are things that are like incidentals, pens, razors, and that it's like, well, how can you? My thought was, I don't think we're going to be running into any problems editing videos of pens and razors, and I was wrong. It was just basically all of these different people who use the products talking about the product, and one of them was very clearly trans, and I knew there was a possibility that we were going to encounter something like that, And I had come to the conclusion that I would be okay with this. My conscience would be okay with this if you could tell by looking at them they're trans, but they're not talking about their identity. They're not advertising any elements of their ideology. They're just, talking about the product. I come to the conclusion I could do that. That's not what this was. This was a trans person, talking about how they use the genderless version of their razor because it makes them feel sexier. And like, nope. Oh, I can't do that. And it was a gut-sinking moment of, oh shoot, I have to email them and tell them this. And I was trying to be as level-headed and gracious as possible, telling them I'd be willing to do all the other ones. I just can't do this one. I know my business partners aren't going to do it either. That's another benefit of just working with other believers. But yeah, they do not care for that. And they try to get me to do it anyway, which was the thing I wasn't expecting. Was, we don't care if you disagree with it, just do it. And I was not anticipating that. But after I said I couldn't, it was like a 5-minute conversation of back and forth of just do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And so then I ended up losing the whole thing.
No.
And sorry, this is a long way around.
No, keep going
to
that.
Losing that client was, I had discovered Gothix 2 weeks before that. So she's a YouTuber. And 2 weeks before I lose this corporate client, I had been recommended this video on YouTube, the algorithm blessing me, with a video that was titled, White Privilege is a Crutch. And sort of an ambiguous title, that could go either way as to what it's saying. It's is it a crutch for white people? Is it a crutch for black people? Who's it a crutch for? But I saw the thumbnail, and it's this black woman with a side shave cut, piercings, tattoos. Just super liberal looking. And so that was my thought. I was this is a video of someone going to tell me about how I'm a bad person for being white. And, but I was curious as to what the argument was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what's the position? And so I clicked on it, and the video kicks off, and it's just the complete opposite of what I was expecting. It's this black woman who's the most liberal looking person ever. And she's talking about all of these sort of conservative political talking points, really coherently, really concisely. And I was just what is going on here? Who is this person? So after watching that video, I went through her entire YouTube catalog and watched everything she had put out. And her YouTube channel at that time had only gone back technically, I think, 6 months. And yeah, it was shocking to lose this corporate client. And she was the first thing that came to mind. And the thought was, whatever I do next needs to be something that matters. And I should see if I can get in touch with her.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the impetus. Because I discovered her right before losing a corporate client due to politics. And she struck me on a social, cultural, political end. And that's why I wanted to do it.
So when you got in contact with her, was there any hopes of maybe doing content for her, or was it just, hey, I'm going to get in contact with you and be like, this just happened, and essentially thank you for your content? Because I ran across it. Or what was the goal of getting in contact with her?
The goal was the documentary.
Okay.
That I had done some documentary work with a local guy, Austin Storm here, who is sort of a small town entrepreneur, high risk business venture sort of guy. Very creative, very fun. That was sort of my entry into documentary stuff, and had a great time doing that, getting to be creative in the documentary space. Um, but this was the first entry into like thinking about a feature length documentary. I'd never done anything feature length, but that was what it felt like. That's what I needed to do for her. I wasn't really interested in editing YouTube content or anything like that. It was just I think that this woman probably needs a documentary told about her, and I want to be the one who does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how'd you pitch it to her, and what was her initial response?
It took a week for me to get in contact with her. I messaged every channel that I could possibly like find, Twitter, Instagram, email, and then eventually YouTube, live stream chat. And that was when I got her attention, was while she was live on YouTube. I commented on one of her streams and just said, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker, and I would love to make a documentary about you. How might I send you a proposal to do that?" And
Is that live stream still up?
I think I ripped it off. I think I have it. I don't think it's up, but I think I have it on my computer. But I should go back and watch that. I haven't thought about that in a while. But she gave me her email, which I already had. I had found another way. And which, it makes sense because she had seen my previous email of me pitching and ignored it. And she told me later that she was just like, I don't know who this person is. But it wasn't until the YouTube live stream comment that she was like, okay, this guy's persistent. So I sent her a proposal by email again, slightly different than the first time. And we set up a video call, and I don't know, it might have been like a week later that we had done the video call. And yeah, I don't think that she would have to say, I don't know if I brought up losing the corporate client or not. I don't remember doing that. She might remember if I did or didn't, but I was really just trying to pitch it purely on concept, not on, woe is me, we're allies and this sort of thing. And but the concept that I was pitching was a mix of my music video style and a documentary, and that to combine those two into a documentary about her and her life, and her cancellation specifically. Yeah, she thought my stuff was good enough, and so she said yes. And I flew out to Rhode Island, I think a week later.
Yeah. So you funded it through Lore. Was that after you shot the documentary, or was that maybe during it and you already knew, hey, I'm gonna go out and do this?
Yeah, Lore wasn't a thing when I started the documentary. And we didn't really fund it through Lore. We got some funding from Lore for the documentary, but it didn't have enough of an audience base to fund what we were looking to get for it. When I started the documentary, it was all 100% independent. Like, I'm putting my money into this, and the Lord made it possible, man. Like, I don't have a lot, and I technically didn't have enough for it. And yeah, God made that possible. If it was not for just trusting him in it, that it wouldn't have been a thing. Because just alone on what the cost that I actually paid for the documentary over 3 years, it was $30,000. That is nothing of the hours that I donated.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, it's thousands of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it a small media large production, or was it a freelance Graeme Wilson's gonna do this?
It is a small media large production.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so what was it like filming the documentary?
Man, I have to transport myself back. It was a mix of things. I think that there was a lot of uncertainty in until I actually met her and her then boyfriend, now husband, Saul. Until I actually met them in person, there was a lot of like, am I gonna go out there and they're gonna like get cold feet and be like, I'm not actually comfortable doing this, and that just nothing happens. As soon as we actually like touched base, met up, that things started going very quickly, and we got into a very natural pace of things.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of a week, we were friends.
Yeah. How long did it take you to film it?
We filmed for a week in Rhode Island, and then they flew out here to Moscow, Idaho, and stayed here at the big house for a weekend. We filmed a little bit here, and then we went to Washington, D.C. a few months later and filmed out there for her doing some talks. And then 2 years after we started, we had her and Saul fly out one more time here to film a final interview. So in the documentary, it's most of what you see is in 2021 until the very end, and then it jumps 2 years, and you get a 2-year, sort of future perspective as to where she's gone since then. And we've had a lot of people tell us that that final interview is the most impactful interview. And that was the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was maybe the underlying goal of the documentary, and what were you more focusing on? Were you trying to get more of a life story out of her, or a story of being canceled and then kind of a redemption story?
The first priority that I had with with the documentary was entertainment. There's no point in doing this if someone can't sit down and watch it and enjoy themselves watching it. If they don't enjoy themselves watching it, well, then you made something that's not worth watching.
Yeah.
And that's your job. That's your job, is to make something worth watching. So that was my first goal, was like, this needs to actually, like, people need to care about it and continue to care about it as they continue to watch it. The further they get into it, that it's just engagement, it's pacing, it's production, did it entertain? Second priority, both of these, they're very close priorities. They're not like, the first priority is not distantly first. It's very close to this second priority. The second priority was that despite the fact that this is a documentary that is talking about political, the political conversion of a person, the political awakening of a person, I did not want it to be something that only appealed to people that agreed with it politically. That I didn't actually want anyone to know unless they already knew the story. I didn't want them to know what the angle was. Because if you want to, like, something should be entertaining or engaging or valuable to someone just because it instantly agrees with you. That story is more than just agreement. Like, a politician is not telling a good story when he's telling you all the things you want to hear about his platform and what he's planning to do when he becomes president. That's not good storytelling, although half the country really likes it. And so a lot of political filmmakers or or say politically driven filmmakers or religiously driven filmmakers, they think because people like hearing things that they agree with, that is their end goal of filmmaking is, oh, we just got to tell the audience something that they agree with. We got to show them something that they agree with. Then they'll buy it. They'll watch it.
Yeah.
They'll give it 10 out of 10 on IMDb. And that sucks because you, as a filmmaker, you should be making something that is enjoyable to watch despite the political religious position of the person who made it or the person who it's about, because that's what a story is there for. So that was one of the goals, and it was a very challenging goal to tell a story that is political, cultural, in nature, and not scare the other political side away from it if they started watching it and didn't know what it was. And but for 3 years, that was the thing that I was trying to craft, was avoid falling into those traps, that this should be the telling of a story of a human being discovering how she was lied to, having a crisis of some kind, and discovering new truth at the bottom of this destruction, basically. And that should be something that is relatable for whomever, if it's grounded in things that everyone can sort of philosophically say, yeah, that agrees with the way the world is, I guess. But those were the priorities: entertainment, and not idealism. The focus is not political, social idealism.
Yeah. So when you were done filming it and then you began post-production on that, what was that like? And then when did you realize when and where your avenue for publishing this and making it public was?
Yeah. The initial hope that I think that a lot of filmmakers have today is Netflix. That's just like, it's the distribution. And I wasn't counting on that happening. My thought was, I want to make this one of the standards I had was, this needs to, by the time I'm done with it, it needs to look like, if you'd come across it and you started watching it, production wise, that it wouldn't feel out of place if you ran into it on Netflix. That it needed to rise to that sort of production standard. That it wouldn't be like, what the heck is this doing on here? Sort of thing. But the further I got into the production process, the more I was realizing it's kind of pointless to even approach Netflix about this, because there's too many risks in my mind, not let alone just from the odds of them taking it as first time filmmaker, very low. And then later learning like, oh, my camera's not Netflix approved, and things like that. But just on top of that, there's the political side of this, and the odds of them taking it with the narrative at the end of the day would be low. But then let's say they did. Would you want that kind of story in the hands of Netflix? Where if they just decided, it would be theirs to do what they wanted to do. If they just decided, we'll buy this from you, and then we'll just shelve it.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful move. Maybe they would, have it air for a week, and then they get enough complaints, and it's like, oh, we had too many complaints about this. We decided to can it, not have it on the platform anymore. There was too many risks in that way, that by the time I got to the end of making this thing, I was looking at Amazon Prime, I was looking at YouTube rental, and I was looking at Lore, and ended up having it premiere on Lore for the first 3 months. And the goal was to try and, hit a particular funding goal with with it so that we could get, paid for the work we put into it. And lore is just not big enough. And to everyone at lore, I want you guys to succeed. I still am a part of the creator coalition calls that we have, and it's not a dig on lore to say that their audience isn't big enough.
It's big enough for some things, but some things it's not.
I don't know. I think that it's everything they want to do. It's not big enough yet to do it. Everything, and that, I mean, yeah, it's just a challenge of starting a new streaming service. It's really, if you don't have that initial capital boom going into it, then it's very difficult to get any kind of like meaningful momentum. And so basically we got a few months into trying to fund the documentary on lore and just realized like, I just need to release this. Like this is going to be too long. I just need to take what we got and just say, all right, we're just going to call it. I'm going to release it. I'd already put in all of this work into it. It's close to being finished, and we'll do that. So that's what we did. It was on lore for 3 months, and then I started shopping it around and got it onto Amazon Prime, which took a while, but it's there.
But I mean, what you were saying about lore, because Marcus Pittman was one of my first podcast guests, and I love what Lore's doing, and I hope they succeed and I hope they grow. But he was also discussing with me about the contract, that when you fund a project on lore, what that contract looks like.
Yeah.
So how did you go about negotiating with them? Hey, I'm going to let you have it for these 3 months. But also lore's not the place I want it to just be on.
Be forever.
Yeah.
So I don't really remember too much negotiating. It was sort of just, I had some thoughts and some questions that I wanted to ask of them about, what the situation was contractually. And they were very accommodating, which was great. One of the things that I knew that I have no plans of ever having the Gothix documentary leave lore. It's there. That, it's there. I think that it should be there. It's part of its identity. And yeah, I have no intentions of having it be somewhere, of ever leaving lore. But yeah, so basically what it came to was, if we got the full funding amount for the documentary, that it would be 2 years exclusive on lore before it could go somewhere else. And we were nowhere near that. Nowhere near. And the agreement that we had was, if we only do partial funding, it's 3 months exclusive. And so that's what we did, was 3 months.
Yeah. So, I remember seeing a lot of your videos about trying to get it on Prime. What was that whole process like, and why did it maybe take much longer than you thought?
I don't know. It was, that sucked. And even after getting it on Prime, you couldn't search it.
Yeah.
It was,
so, I mean, it's a smaller film. It's not like this big corporation, like Paramount or something, that's putting this Gothix documentary up. Do you think people up the chain just saw it and realized, or like, what do you think the process was? Because I'm sure executives saw it on the platform, but then again, it's not.
Odds are
Paramount.
Odds are no executives saw it. Amazon Prime is like huge. It's freaking huge. There are so many titles on it.
Yeah.
And tons of stuff that's like super low budget and awful. Like stuff that sucks can get on there. It's like, it's actually not a testament to whether or not I made something good. There's tons of stuff on it that blows. Um, but odds are some workers saw it, and there's always that question of, okay, did this like set off some alarms for people working there just because of the politics of it, and um, that's always possible. It might have been one of the reasons it took a while, but it's like I can't say one way or the other. It's on there,
Yeah.
it's on there. It was just a pain in the butt to get it on there. It was just this back and forth of like, this isn't right. It's like, okay, this isn't right. Okay, this isn't right. Okay. And you can't find anywhere that gives you all those standards before you submit it. And you submit it and you wait, and then you wait for a few weeks or a month. And after a few weeks or a month, they get back to you and say, this is wrong.
Yes.
Like, so yeah, that might have just been poor system management. But at the end of the day, it's up. And I can't really speculate that much as to like what the reason was for it being so difficult, or why we couldn't search it. Because you can search it now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
is there any hopes of it of taking it anywhere else, or do you think you've landed it where you want to land it?
I'm kind of done with it. Like, and I don't have any kind of resentment for it. I don't hate it. I'm proud of what I did with this. But I think a film has its life.
Mm-hmm.
At least for the director. There might be other management, admin people that are going and taking your projects and sort of making them live longer by getting them more places. And the people have jobs like that. But as someone who's looking to make another thing, it was like I released it in December of 2023, and by December of 2024, I was like, I'm good. I'm good to walk away. And it's not out of any kind of disappointment or discouragement. It's just I think I've put the effort into it that I needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you released it, and I'm sure like Gothix shared it, and it kind of blew up in a way due to that. What was the feedback towards it, and maybe backlash towards you yourself, but also this business that you're trying to grow as marketing?
Yeah. I honestly don't think I've experienced much like direct backlash. There might be like it's completely possible that certain groups are not working with me because of it. But I can't know. That getting rejected by this company or that company might just be for completely different reasons. It might be because they saw the documentary I made, and they did a little bit of research, or they looked at the reviews. I tried to keep the trailer, ambiguous as to what the story is, but there's things that you can find out. But the initial reception for people who saw the trailer and then ended up watching the documentary was very positive. And that one of the things that I was really hoping for to hear from the commenter is that it was good production quality.
Yeah.
And that if that's one of the comments, I think for people in the conservative or Christian film world, we're surprised by anything that is made from this side that turns out that looks good.
Yeah.
And so when people were saying, "Oh wow, like this looks good," it's an unfortunate thing that is the thing that we're surprised about. But it was good to see that was one of the comments that people were making about it. But also, just that it was an impactful story. And that was the main hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, the backlash, I didn't receive any of it. I don't know. I'm obscure enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like No one knows me.
Yeah.
You don't know me. Whoever's watching this right now.
They do now. They all about you.
Yeah. So I felt kind of like hidden in that sense. That and I don't mind either way. I don't mind if I'm public. I don't mind if I'm private. Like if people don't know me. It's not that's not the goal. But she had already been canceled twice before this documentary ever came out. And the amount of backlashes she had already suffered for things were, it was she's so used to it that any kind of added, like the trailer went a little viral on Twitter, like hit 600K views or something like that. And then, a bunch of leftists, were commenting on that. And they were, it was, that didn't really affect anything. Like it didn't harm much of anything. And I didn't feel like, it was that negative of an experience. It was kind of an entertaining one, but not super negative. But then we got a surge in viewership around the election. Because who knows if it was actually because of the election, but whatever it was, one of her videos popped off on election day. And she happened to put the reviews trailer for the documentary at the end of that video. It is now her most viewed video she's ever had. And it's like 1.3 million views. And so, 1.3 million people encountered the reviews trailer for the documentary. And we got a bunch of traffic on Prime because of it. And so I feel like I've experienced far more positive out of that documentary. But part of that was because of the labor that I put into not having it be an immediately ostracizing piece of media to someone on the other side politically. I did not want that. I don't want to bludgeon someone with a viewpoint. I want to very gently carry someone through a story. Like, come with, check out this person, look at this person, like, look who they are, look at their humanity. And that's how you bring someone from the other side into something that maybe they disagree with it, when they discover what some of the positions of this person are, but they have so much more sympathy for them because they learned about who they were, because the story made them care about them as a person before they ever learned anything about them in regards to their viewpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after you made the documentary, what's next for you? What's your next big goals, aspirations?
There's some things that part of me is open to stuff. That if someone came to me with a documentary idea, like, hey, I've got this story about this person, went through this thing, or is planning to do this, that I'd be very interested in hearing something like that, a proposition for a documentary. I have a couple ideas that I haven't really pursued documentary side because I honestly, despite the fact that I did a feature-length documentary, I didn't see myself as a documentary guy. I kind of become one, but I had a couple ideas that I'm so freaking broke right now that I can't do what I did with Gothix. That I was able at that time to dump a bunch of time and resources into it with no expectation of being paid initially. Again, that was still a risk because, like, I did not have the money to get by technically, but the Lord got us by, which is great. But now I'm in, definitely not in a place to be able to do that. The resources don't exist. So I can't, despite the fact that I have these ideas to do these other documentaries, I can't really pursue them. In the meantime, what I am doing is writing a script for a feature film. I've never done that, but I've had an idea for a few years that I've been cooking up with some friends, and it's the kind of idea that could be achieved for not a horrific amount of money. very low budget in the grand scheme Hollywood world. And so that felt like the kind of story that I could pursue writing for first. I have other ideas that you wouldn't want to pursue them unless you had, $100 million.
Yeah.
So I don't plan on those ever being made. But starting with something that's like, feasible. Aside from that, bunch of small stuff. I'm looking for commercial gigs. Find me a business that needs a commercial. I will make it entertaining. I will sell your product. I don't care if it's toothpaste.
Yeah. We'll get his email in the description.
I don't care if it's grass-fed beef. I'll make a commercial for it, and you will enjoy it.
Any advice to the next generation, younger creators looking to maybe enter this realm or just enter the creative realm in general?
It's always tough because I don't know if the way that I ended up doing this it's definitely not the way that like everyone should do it.
Mm-hmm.
What I benefited from was doing it for fun. When you're young and you have no responsibilities, or you have few responsibilities, make something that entertains you. Yeah. The advice that you see all over the internet is whatever it is, whatever kind of equipment you have now, just make something with that. And I think that's good. I think that's good advice. There's going to be some things you can't do. There's going to be lots of things you can't do with what you have, but there's a lot more that you can do than you realize. And it's just, you get to a place where time becomes more and more of an invaluable resource. When you're young, it's just like so expendable. You just have so much of it, and you can just like, how old are you? Are you 17?
18.
18
as of today, so.
It's your birthday today?
It was my birthday.
Oh, dude, happy birthday.
That was kind of crazy. People are like, you're doing this on your birthday?
I enjoy it. So, dude, that's awesome. Happy birthday.
Thank you. But yeah, as you were saying,
I'm going to smoke a cigar after this? No doubt. So basically, you at 18, you have a ton of time where you're just, there's not nearly as much pressing on you. That's like, this has got to be done now. This has got to be taken care of. You got to watch out for this. You got to, I'm a married man with 3 kids in a house, and the numbers are not adding up. The Lord is good, but the numbers are not adding up. And so I'm very aggressively grinding to make sure that I'm doing at least everything that I can for the time being to meet those needs, which means that all of the fun, creative risks that you want to take, you can't. Not right now. Yeah. But when you're young, do that stuff now. Learn things. I did not do that. I learned things by making stuff and being like, I think that looks all right. And you do learn things that way, but it's slow learning.
Yeah.
I didn't learn anything about camera settings until, I don't know, late 20s. That I'd learned enough about camera settings to, make it turn on and, film a thing. But like, I didn't know anything about shutter speed. I didn't know anything about aperture. I didn't know anything about any of that. Didn't know anything about rules of composition. And that doesn't mean that you never make anything that's like decent, or at least better than what it was before. But it's slow learning. But that's the advice that I give is do stuff for fun, work with what you have, and take some time to learn just like the basic settings of your equipment. And once you do that, the doors will open up for realizing a little bit more of what you don't know. It's the idea of the more you learn what you don't know. I was talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect before the camera started rolling with the guy behind the camera. And are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Slightly.
Okay. So, as a refresher, the Dunning-Kruger effect is, I'll do this in reverse for the camera, that it's a graph that is organized by the x-axis is skill and the y-axis is confidence. And the instant that you learn and you gain any skill in something, confidence skyrockets to the very, like, as
As it'll go.
yeah, as high as it'll go. And then the more skill you gain, it begins to hit this, parabolic curve. And that I was guilty of this too when I was first starting, like thinking I knew way more than I did.
Yeah.
And the way that you beat the Dunning-Kruger effect sooner is by learning sooner. Learn more now, so you don't have to, look like an overconfident idiot later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess also, if people haven't realized, there's instruments in the back. So you also have a band.
I do.
Which we didn't get into. You can get into if you want. But I think the conversation went a different direction. So.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I think that what we're talking about is my career. And that's generally what you bring, what you do a podcast for, is like, what's your work, what's your profession? And that's far more of my focus in my life. But music is, if I were to pursue an art that wasn't film, for a career, it would be music for sure. But yeah, this is just the for fun thing. And despite the fact that I have
pretty good for fun, right?
Despite the fact that I have 4 guitars, there's 1, 2, and there's another one over there. Yeah, I'm not a guitarist.
Oh,
I can play the guitar, but I'm a singer who can play the guitar. And my band is Spotswood Abbey, and that started with just 3 people in it: Josh Roberts, Nico Zarate, and Ruth Saunders, back in 2017. And then I joined in 2019. And I thought it was just a jam group. Like, hey, we just meet once a week and we play music together.
Yeah.
And then, like, 2 weeks in, Josh was like, I got us a gig.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We were suddenly a gigging band. And yeah, I'm really grateful for that I was kind of, I had done a lot of performing from a young age, and I was in bands before, and but I hadn't done anything performing musically for a long time.
Yeah.
And Spotswood sort of like forced me into doing it again. And I'm really grateful for that, because it's like a huge part of my artistic satisfaction. But after I joined in 2019, we had 3 other people join: Connor, our guitarist, Janie Meyer, our bassist, and Tom Miller, our drummer, just a few months after me. And so we're a 7-piece band, and that's been the lineup for 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. So, yeah, we have new music that we haven't recorded, and I don't know if we ever will. Because recording is really hard when your band is not your career. Yeah, it takes time, and like I was saying before, time is the thing as you get older that you have less of. You just have a lot less of that resource.
Yeah, right. Anywhere you want to send people to learn more about you, your different small, media, large, Spotswood Abbey, whatever. And then maybe any final closing thoughts, remarks about anything we've discussed.
Yeah. You follow me on Instagram at Director Graeme. Graeme spelled terribly. Graeme, Director Graeme. Someday I'll be better at posting. I do the thing. I don't know if you might be too young to have experience with this. Maybe you never will. But I do the thing where, like, I'll make a bunch of posts all together at one time, and then drought, nothing, and then a bunch of posts, and then nothing, and then a bunch of posts. And I'm really bad about being the steady line of content posting. But Small Media Large is my creative agency, and we produce commercials, we produce documentaries, we produce music videos, we produce just business to business marketing content. Anything video film related is stuff that we do. And yeah, we've won some awards for our work. So we would like to do more of that.
Yeah.
And then you can follow Spotswood Abbey on Instagram. But yeah, who cares about that?
Once you listen, you'll care about it. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and discuss all of this.
Thanks for having me on, and happy freaking birthday, man.
Thank you. But yeah, I very much enjoyed it. So
yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course.